Hey guys, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. If you're listening to this over on Apple Podcasts or some other podcasting app, this is a video version, so head over to Spotify or the YouTube if you want to check out the video edition of this episode. And if you're watching this on YouTube, remember that the Trading Coach Podcast comes out 3 times a week. Not all of them are video versions, so if you want to listen to those versions, head over to your favorite podcasting app and check it out. In today's episode, we're going to talk about fear of getting started. And this is a question that came from one of our viewers and a trader that I work with on a regular basis. By the way, I got a cool message the other day from a trader who used to frequent the Trading Coach Podcast, then stopped for a while, forgot that I was still doing it, found an awesome episode that I did recently and was like, man, why did I ever stop staying in touch? And if you're someone who is similar to that, here's what I recommend doing. Subscribing or hitting that like button. Yes, it helps my stats, which is good for my ego because I'm a super competitor and I like winning at stuff. And I guess by getting more likes and subscribes, I win. But also, it puts the Trading Coach Podcast in your algorithm. That way you don't miss cool, awesome episodes that I do and you don't feel left behind. So the question that I got from this trader is as follows. He says, Akil, I've been in the backtesting phase for a while, mainly because I keep trying to tweak and change my strategy to be perfect. In hindsight, I think deep down, I was trying to just delay the next steps, which is demo and ultimately live trading, as even though my results show I'm profitable, I still don't feel confident. Is this something you've come across before with other traders? And do you think once I'm demo trading and hopefully my demo trading matches my backtesting results, I will feel more confident? Also, when I say I don't feel confident, it's not lacking confidence in finding trading setups. I mean, just confidence in the fact that I will be profitable once I ultimately go to live trading. So there are a few topics that I want to dive into that have to do with failure, expectations, and ultimately, of course, some tips on how to overcome this issue. Because dear trader, you are not alone. Even yours truly went through this. But I want to start off by asking you a question, right? So what is a good trading strategy, or rather, what are good trading results? Because a lot of the time we don't get started because, again, we fear being able to replicate our backtesting results in the live markets. But I want you to seriously think about this question. When we talk about getting good trading results, are we talking about a good win percentage? Maybe. Are we talking about a good ROI, return on investment? Possibly. Are we talking about some type of combination of both? Could be. The answer is this, or rather, here's how I want you to think about it. If you had the best trading strategy in the world, meaning you won 99% of the time, you had an amazing return on investment, right? So your strategy is solid, it is profitable as anything in the world. But if you never actually traded it live, how good is that trading strategy? Well, some may say, well, it's a good trading strategy, but if you don't make money off of it because you're not trading it live, then is it a good trading strategy, right? Whether you want to be literal or not, the fact of the matter is you can have the best thing in the world that produces the most profit in the world theoretically, but if you never bring it to the live markets and actually execute it, what does it mean, right? I grew up playing sports, so it's very similar to that guy in the neighborhood who's like the best basketball player in the neighborhood. He played on the street courts, he destroyed everyone, but he never actually wanted to play for a team. So it's like, yes, you're really, 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 really good, but what are you getting out of it? And that's going to be important for a conversation we have later where we talk about just getting started and just kicking things off by realizing that you don't have to have the best of strategies. You don't have to have the best of performances. What really matters is you have something and that you're actually doing that something in the live market, and ideally it is benefiting you monetarily. So we're going to kick off with the first one, fear of expectation. Now you may be asking yourself, Akil, what is so hard about trading live, right? I did everything before, I just plug and play and copy my process, right? Yes, but also no, right? Because of all the fears that actually come to the light or the front once we get to that live trading, right? Understand we have fears with us the entire time, right? We have fears when we're developing a strategy, right? What if this strategy doesn't work? We have fears when we're backtesting. What if the results come back bad? But it's not until we get to live trading that those fears get really, 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 really big, because this is when we're ultimately being judged. No one's judging you off of strategy development. We're supposed to fail, right? No one's judging you off of backtest, right? This is the test to see if your strategy works or not. If it doesn't work, we're supposed to make tweaks. But by the time you trade it live, this is where you actually have expectations. You have your backtesting results. You have all the kind of the data you've put together and the projections of how much money you should make. And now it's kind of like, well, I'm supposed to do this. And now if I don't do this, I am a failure. And that's a lot of pressure. It's kind of ironic. You think about it, right? We do all this work to relieve the pressure. We do all this backtesting, all this strategy development to put ourselves in the positions where we could be as confident as possible with trading things that we're supposed to trade. Then all of a sudden, that same thing is what puts added pressure, because now we have no excuse for not doing well except for blaming ourselves, right? The only excuse that we have is, hey, I self-sabotage, or hey, I didn't do this, or hey, I did that. And again, that's really, really hard for a lot of people. I remember I just had one of the athletes I coach get inducted to the Hall of Fame, and she was giving a presentation and she spoke about how in her third year in college, she performed better than her fourth year. In her third year, she had no expectations. She went out there and ran, and she ran the best time ever. She's one of the best runners in the country. As she went into her senior year, her fourth and final year, she kind of had expectations now. She said, oh, wait a minute, I'm not just some girl from the middle of no man's land. I'm supposed to be one of the best runners in the country because I was deemed that last year. And she didn't run as well because of that added pressure, that added expectation. Everything else was good. She did the same thing. She trained better. She was stronger. She was faster. It just didn't come together because that extra pressure limited her from her success. Now, this pressure is spread amongst many different things, going back to trading now. Yes, we put the pressure on ourselves. We expect to be profitable, but we also have pressure from outside sources. If you have friends or family that are constantly asking what you're doing and you tell them trading and they're just like, what is that? Or this is gambling, or this is dumb, or you might as well throw your money in the toilet because you'd make more doing that. You have this kind of pressure to prove them wrong. Whether you're purposely doing it or not, we want to prove them wrong. There are a lot of naysayers out there who doubt us, and it feels good to be like, hey, this thing that I've invested all of my time and my money in is paying off. So, haha, take that. So it's not just the pressure from within, it's the pressure from them as well. It's also the pressure in the comparisons that we make. Now, we'll get to talking about the power of community a little bit later, but one of the issues in trading is that everyone's strategy is a little bit different. And even if everyone traded the same strategy, how much they risk is a little bit different. Their account size is a little bit different. Therefore, everyone's performance is going to be a little bit different. And there's not a real way to judge things kind of evenly. So when we see things on social media, because that's where most of us hang out, where it's like, this trader returned this much and this system returned that much, right? If you guys remember, what was it, Trading Coach Podcast 1227, and I showed you guys the little clip of the girl saying that she was trying to sell you a signal service and she won like 85% of the time and she won like 10 out of 11 trades, something like that. We often compare ourselves to those expectations. So we see ourselves as a failure because even though our strategy could be really profitable and good, we see it as not being good as that or needing to be better. And boom, there goes more pressure to do things outside of the things that we naturally should be doing. All of this said, this leads to something called impostor syndrome, right? If you haven't heard of impostor syndrome, pretty much it's the feeling that you don't belong, a feeling that you are a fraud. Like, I don't deserve to be successful because I'm not that. And again, that's just lack of confidence, which eats at you and causes you to be hesitant in taking these steps from backtesting to demo trading to live trading. I remember I dealt with this myself where after years of struggling, I finally got good. And it took me a really long time to actually admit to myself that I was good, right? I knew that a winning day didn't mean I was good. A winning week didn't mean I was good. A winning month didn't mean I was good, right? I was so afraid because I heard so many war stories about traders being good for a year and then blowing it all. Or even in my own personal experiences, I'd have like a really good 2-month hot streak and then blow it all the next month after that. Even though I was consistently cranking out profits and doing everything that I was supposed to do, my numbers were aligning with my expectations. I really struggled to call myself a good trader because I just didn't feel like I deserved it. I felt like a fraud, and I was really hesitant going into many trades because of this fear. Now, the next fear I want to talk about is going to be the fear of failing. Another reason traders fail is simple. They never get started. Remember what I mentioned earlier. You can have the best trading strategy in the world, the golden goose of trading strategies, but if you never actually execute it and start trading it live, it's worthless, it's pointless, and therefore it should be considered a failure, right? I believe there are only two reasons people fail, right? One is people fail because they never get started, which is a failure because you never do anything. And two is because you give up. In fact, if you go back to that trading plan that I always show you guys right here, if we flip to the opening part of it, right, you're gonna see kind of a quote up at the very, where's it at? Top here, probably hard to see, but pretty much what it says is this, right? I believe that the only reason people fail is because they give up before they have an opportunity to be successful. And essentially what that meant for me is this, that it's kind of like the Newton thing, right? Or not Newton, it's kind of like Edison, right? Where if you're trying to do something, create something, you're going to mess up. You're going to mess up a lot and a lot and a lot. But if you're smart and you learn from those mistakes, you'll ultimately figure out a way to make it work. And trading is the same way. Trading is not this thing where it's like you have to be genetically built a certain way. You don't have to hit the genetic lottery like a professional athlete to be good at trading. It is a puzzle that we just need to figure out. And it takes some people longer than others to figure out this puzzle. But it's been proven that there are many, 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 many ways to be successful. So why can't you figure out one of those ways? The truth is that we can figure out those ways to be successful. It just doesn't come overnight. It's not going to come on day one. It's not going to come on month one. It may not come on year one. But if we keep working at it, we will be successful, and we will not fail unless we decide like, hey, I'm going to stop and give up. That's the only time we ultimately fail. Other than that, everything is just one big, long learning experience. Perfectionism, fear of not being perfect. This is another one that stops traders dead in their tracks. And it's really a double-edged sword if you think about it, right? Perfectionism is a gift and a curse. It's a good skill because you're typically driven to do all the things that you're supposed to do throughout the trading journey and do them at a high degree. However, the curse, specifically in trading, and this is what makes it really, really hard for perfectionists and super intelligent people, it's that there is no such thing as perfectionism in trading. There is no perfect strategy. There's no perfect results. There is no perfect. So for people that attempt to find perfectionism, they're attempting to achieve something that cannot be achieved. So they're always going to be left disappointed. And in many cases, they never actually progress. I've seen this with a lot of traders where they hunt for perfection so long, like just like this trader in the example, they never actually make it to live trading because they just want to tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak, hunting for perfection. But it's one of those things where it's like whenever they move this thing, that thing shifts, and they got to go back and move this thing, and then that thing shifts over there. And they just keep doing that the entire time until they run out of time, meaning that although there is no time limit for how long it takes you to be successful at trading, unfortunately, there is a time limit in life, and eventually we need to get started because that time limit in life waits for no one, and it ticks, 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 ticks until we ultimately fall down. So not to get too morbid, but don't waste too much time because lifetime isn't waiting for you to be perfect at trading. You need to get started and take advantage of that time. Now, just piggybacking on the no such thing as perfect, another thing that isn't perfect is us, me and you, right? Human beings. We are imperfect by nature. And what that means is that we shouldn't put the pressure on ourselves to be a perfect trader. Meaning that when you have your backtesting results, you probably have the perfect results because you can go back 10 times, see everything, double check everything, right? You make every pip, you never miss anything. So you have like your ideal results. And I think what gets some traders into trouble is that they set those as their expectations. And then when they trade live, they see that their live results are a little bit lower than those backtesting results. And it makes them feel like a failure and that they're messing up, and the whole imposter syndrome comes back into play. The truth is, we are humans. We are going to make errors, right? We are going to miss trades. We are going to put on a wrong position size. We are going to trade the wrong pair. We are going to oversleep. We are going to get sick and miss days, right? We're never going to be perfect. So a helpful tip for you is to bank in those imperfections. Don't aim to achieve your backtesting goals, or maybe you could aim to achieve your backtesting goals, but understand that you're probably going to perform a little bit below that, especially taking in spreads and commissions. So what that does is it relieves some of the pressure, because you could be doing everything as right as possible. Maybe you made a few mistakes, which is okay. We're human. I missed the trading opportunity this morning. It happens once every blue moon. But when that does happen, when we see ourselves a little bit under what our backtesting expectations are, we don't all of a sudden start punishing ourselves. Oh, you're stupid, you're dumb, I knew you were bad. We accept it being like, hey, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. And that helps our confidence stay up. So what are the solutions? I gave you a few already in the mix of rambling, but I got 3 more that should help you out. 1, this is a biggie. This is the power of community. Surround yourself with a strong trading community. I'm talking real traders and real people that are on the same page with you, not weirdos from the internet that just want to kind of brag and boast about how good they are. Real traders going through the same grind that you are, because you'll be able to relate to them. From a technical standpoint, this means more eyes on the market. I can't tell you how helpful the tier 1 traders have been in my trading, mainly because, like I said, I miss things. I am a human being most of the time, but I'm going to miss stuff, right? Doing all the things I do daily, whether it's coaching traders, coaching track, running my kids to soccer practices and all that fun stuff, podcasts like this. I do miss stuff. It really helps to have a handful of traders on the chat right now shooting in charts saying, hey, I've got this on the radar, because I'll be like, oh, I didn't see that. Let me go get some orders on, right? So when I do make those mistakes, it does help to plug in some of those holes. From a skill development perspective, it also gives you people to bounce ideas off of, whether you are trying something out, whether you are testing something, whether you have an idea. It gives you people that are on the same page, be like, hey, have you tried this? Or what do you think about that? Or, how's that look, right? And it's pretty much like a mastermind group. You're in a brainstorming session on a regular basis, and that's just going to help you keep more of the good ideas, throw out more of the bad ideas, and get extra ideas based off everything that everyone else is thinking as well. Lastly, and probably most importantly, it is a blessing from a psychological perspective. We know how lonely trading can be, right? I did the podcast where the graphic was like a trader frustrated at his computer with an angel and a devil on his shoulder. And when you're by yourself, all you get is all these thoughts, and usually the evil thoughts kind of win out. And we end up doing bad stuff, or we end up losing confidence because we're bashing ourselves. Having a support system is key, right? In your good times, they're going to cheer you on, right? That's one of the things in trading. We bash ourselves during the bad times, but there's no one to cheer us on during the good times, right? We need a good high five, right? Something I do with my athletes all the time is I say, good job. I give them a high five, right? If they do something good, I reward them for that. And it just makes us feel good, and it motivates us to do more of good things because we like high fives, right? So as a trader, if we're doing everything good, we're having good results, and there's no one to share it with, you're kind of just like, it doesn't feel as good. So to have people kind of recognize you and be like, hey man, that's a good trader, that's a good spotter, I like the way you did that, it just makes you feel good. And it's kind of like a reward, a non-financial reward for what you're doing. At the same time, during the negative times where we're stuck in that deep, dark hole where that angry devil on our shoulder is shouting all these negative thoughts and we want to quit and break rules and do all the dumb stuff that we do, it's good to have that support system to kind of get you back on track. Whether it's like, hey, you're going through a losing streak, you type into the chat, hey guys, man, lost again, that's 5 in a row, man. Can anyone be that bad? And then like Cody shoots in, hey man, I just lost 6 in a row, ain't nothing, welcome to the club. And it's just like, it makes you feel like maybe I'm not the only one. Again, everything we see on social media is the highlight reel of what everyone is doing, the best of the best of the best. We forget that there are traders that are going through slumps. There are great traders out there that are going through slumps. And we tend not to normalize it because no one wants to brag about how bad they've been. But we need to normalize it because it makes you feel comfortable. It makes you realize that, hey, you're not a loser. This is a natural part of the process, is going through losses. So not only do you have people that will pick you up when you're down, but you have people to give you advice. Maybe you made a mistake that you didn't catch. It's like, hey, I saw that you lost this last trade. Did you see that structure back on December 12th? make sure you avoid that next time. It's like, boom, and now you learn something. And again, I know community is probably underrated because everyone wants to talk about the super secret strategy, but I remember that when Jason and myself, when we started Tier 1 trading back in, 2017, I think it was, we already had the foundation in place, right? We knew we were good traders. We had a track record of doing that. We knew we were good coaches. We had a track record of working with many traders across the globe and helping them become super, super successful. I'm talking like people that have gone on to start hedge funds and whatnot. But as we reached out to a broader community, because we used to be very specific with who we worked with. Now, we weren't like snobby or anything like that, but it was a very specific group. It's a much smaller group. And as we wanted to spread our kind of message to more of the retail, the working class retail trader, I guess you can say, we talked about it with each other and we said, hey, the main thing that we need to do is include this community, because in every other aspect of business, and if you guys know Jason, you know Jason's done so much research in all of this from the many businesses that he's in. Community is the key factor in general in life, right? Surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals is what's going to motivate you to go to that next level. And we did that with Tier 1 trading. I remember Dr. Brett Steenbarger saw what we were doing and he got interviewed for Forbes magazine. And it was cool that he actually gave us a shout out of as being one of the innovators in trading education for introducing that community factor, because he knew exactly how important it was from the traders that he worked with on the trading desk. So don't skip over this community part. I know it seems dumb, but it does make a massive difference. Now, the next step, number 2, is going to be to brainwash yourself, right? I'm not talking spinning clock and you turn into a chicken when I snap my fingers. Rather, I'm talking about affirmations. Now, in the last Trading Coach podcast, 2 episodes ago, right? 11228, I think it was, right? We spoke about different ways to practice. We talked about the power of visualization and the neural pathways in your brain and your body and how you can inch your finger like that and become stronger, right? Well, we can do the same thing with affirmations, right? Affirmations are like I am statements. And what I did when I was younger and I was going through this imposter syndrome and I lacked confidence in anything I was doing is I went to the mirror every day and I recited 10 affirmations to myself. I am a good trader. I will be this. I will be that. And at first it seems stupid. It feels dumb. I've never been one of those rah-rah, cult type of walk on hot stone type people. But I did it on a consistent basis. It was part of my routine. And I truly believe that it started to work, right? I started convincing myself of the things that I was telling myself, and those pathways of belief were created, and I became more and more confident, and that directly related to the work I was doing on the charts, which directly related to my bank account. Finally, the last one, and probably the most important one, you just have to start, right? We start off the podcast with this. You just have to get started. Getting started is better than not getting started, because if you don't get started, you have failed. If you get started, you give yourself a chance to succeed. So I forgot who said this quote. I remember it growing up. It was just do it. It was, who said that? Yeah, man, I feel like it should be obvious. Shia LaBeouf. Do it. Just do. No, Nike. I know it's Nike, guys. Am I wearing Nikes today? No, I got Adidas on. But it's Nike, right? Just do it, right? 3 simple words that make a massive difference. You just have to get started. You have to trust that you've done enough work in your training and your development that you are ready to adjust to whatever the path is ahead, right? It's no different than raising kids, right? If you at some point, kids are going to leave the home. They're going to go into this mean, crazy world. And as parents, you have to trust that, hey, I've done everything possible to raise my kids the right way so that they can survive in this world. And it's big and scary, but eventually they have to get in it and they have to make some mistakes. You got to work through some things, but ultimately you have to believe that they will win. I often remind myself of I used to be that kid that never wanted to get into the pool because I dipped my toe and I'd be like, ooh, it's cold. I don't want to go in there, right? I got island blood, right? So I don't like the cold water. And I remember that I would miss out on all the fun that my friends were having as they're jumping and splashing into the pool. And as I got older, I got tired of missing out on this fun. And I said, you know what? I'm not even going to go crazy and dip my toe in and dip my ankle in and dip my calf in. I'm just going to count to 10 and I'm going to jump right in. And what happens every time you jump right in? You jump right in, you get that initial shock, right? So boom, you place your first live trade and you're going crazy. You have this initial shock. You have all these feelings. And then 5 minutes later, right, your body has adjusted to the temperature, you're splashing around, you're having fun, you forgot all about all the fear of jumping in that cold water. Trading is the same way. That first live trade, the heart is pumping, you're sweating from your brow, it's crazy. But then once you do it, you're like, man, this is no different than demo, especially if you're taking kind of the tips that I always give about starting with a very small account and risking so little that a loss doesn't hurt you and a win doesn't make you happy. So you just have to jump into the trading pool and get after it and trust that you are skilled enough and trust that you have a community and coaches around you that are dedicated enough to helping you through that initial weird process until you get to a point where you're more on autopilot and you're gaining a lot more confidence in what you're doing. So I hope this episode helps. To my tier 1 trading community out there and my Trading Coach podcast community out there, if you have any recommendations, because I am yet one man with one set of opinions, please leave it in the comment section below. It's going to be very helpful for A, our trader who asked this question, but B, or 2, any other trader out there who is going through the same thing. And trust me, there are many of you. So leave any tips that you have heard or tips that you have personally done below, and read through it if you are a newer trader to gain some knowledge. And again, hopefully we can work through this together. And if you don't have a trading community, make the Trading Coach podcast your community, right? We talk about a lot of cool things here. There's a lot of traders that interact with the video. So make some friends and find some positive influence. All right, until next time, plan your trade your plan. If you're interested in learning how to trade with us, www.tier1trading.com is the place to be. See ya. That was a weird outro. It felt bad, but I'm gonna keep it because I don't feel like editing this.